name's Deborah Muller. I work for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, it's MAD. And what we try and do is we try to eliminate drunk driving, and we also try to support the victims of drunk driving crashes. What I would really like to say to the teens is that, you know, as teens, you're not to be drinking. We get that. But more importantly, more important than that, is to please don't get behind the wheel of a car and drive after you've been drinking, or don't get in with a friend. I am a victim advocate, which means that I am there to offer support to victims and their families after a crash. And also, we also offer court accompaniment, so that we actually go to the court with families during the trials after a drunk driving crash. If there's anything I can say is that I would beg you, please don't get behind a wheel, because you endanger your life as well as everyone else's on the road.
I got 2 MIPs in 3 days, and those were life-changing events, both of them. I had to go through the court system in my hometown, and I ended up having to do a bunch of community service and going to like a breakthrough weekend about drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. But my community service experience changed my life for the better, for sure, because I did community service with a bunch of screw-ups who continuously got MIPs throughout their lifetime and couldn't get jobs and DUIs and all that kind of stuff, and they were stuck doing community service for the rest of their life, or jail time, or they just got out of jail and then they were doing community service. So that obviously that's not the path that I wanted to take. So my MIPs changed me for the better and taught me that underage drinking is awful and to never do it ever.
Some ways we come across MIPs are, first of all, we get calls from the resident halls on parties. And so we respond over there, and depending on the party, whether there's underage drinking, if there is underage drinking there, then what we do is we come up with MIPs that way. Other ways we get or come across MIPs are we get calls of incapacitated of students or residents here on campus, or visitors, and that's how we come across them, where they've drank so much that that someone calls and that they're taken to the hospital, and at that point it'll be determined whether they get an MIP or not. On patrol, what we are looking for is that somebody brings it to our attention. So they're either stumbling down the sidewalk, fallen, or they could be stumbling out in the roadway. Basically their behavior is such that they bring it to our attention, whether they're breaking the law, damaging property, fighting. And at that point, once we contact them, what we do is, if they're MIP, we take enforcement.
I was tailgating at a Michigan State-Iowa football game. Went into the game really intoxicated, and I ended up vomiting. I then was arrested and taken to Sparrow Hospital, and that night affected me greatly because I had to pay a lot of money. I paid $600 in tickets and court fees. And then I had to pay $5 every day for my 3 months probation to get breathalyzer tests, and I had to go call the police station every morning and go in before school. Also, I had to take MIP classes, which also cost quite a bit of money, which was not good. And to pay for all this, I ended up having to get a job. Looking back, I would just be more responsible and not give in to peer pressure and not make such dumb decisions.
If we respond to a situation and the student had consumed too much alcohol and to the point where they were incapacitated, then what they would do is go to the hospital. They would be transported by ambulance to the hospital, and at that point, upon release, if they got an MIP, they would have to go ahead and have a certain amount of time to go to the court, to contact the court on the MIP. If they were contacted by us and they were MIP and they were not a danger to themselves and their level was low, what we would do is we would write out an appearance ticket and release them at the scene. But again, and there's a lot of variables there, they would have to, again, their level would have to be low, and they would not have to be a danger to themselves or to others. And the third thing, if we responded and they weren't incapacitated and they were too high of a level to let go, say for instance we were concerned about their, their safety due to their alcohol level, what we would do at that point is we would place them under arrest for MIP. They would be transported back here. They would be processed and they would be put in one of the cells here, and they would be held until their alcohol level was basically gone. They wouldn't have any alcohol in their system, at which point there would be no concerns about them being a danger to themselves. And then what we would do is we would release them with an appearance ticket.